Greetings to all Capsule fans and Yasutaka Nakata fans alike. This is Star Sniper, and today we're going to be reviewing Capsule's 16th album, Metropulse. Let me just start off by saying that I'm a huge Yasutaka Nakata fan. I've been a fan since 2013 when I discovered him through the Needle Drops review of Kiari Pamu Pamu's Nanda collection. And I remember giving it a listen, and I was totally blown away by the quality of the production, the melodies, the harmony, the choices of sound. And I didn't even care so much about the cutesy, childlike part of it. I was just so blown away by how good those chord progressions were and how catchy, but yet very complex style of composition he had. I'm saying all this from a producer's standpoint. I produce synthwave music myself, and I've been a musician for 20 plus years, so I do understand a bit about theory, musical arrangement, and all that. But let me tell you, this guy is a stellar producer. He is incredible. And this latest release is no exception. I loved it instantly. The first time I listened to this album, I listened to it 3 times in its entirety. That's pretty rare. Usually when I listen to a new album, I listen to it maybe once or twice, but 3 times, that's a good sign. That means it was really interesting to me and the whole album just sounded really good. The quality of production on this album is probably the best he's ever done. When it comes to sound designing, mixing, mastering, the EQ sweeps he uses, and everything is it's just so damn good. But there might be only 3 songs I don't like as much on this album. I would say the first 3 tracks are not my favorite, but the rest of the album is outstanding. I've been waiting for Nakata to release a retrowave album for ages, and I knew he would nail this style when he was going to do it. I just knew it. So the first track of the album, Hikari No Disco, is very reminiscent of World of Fantasy. To me, it sounds like it's World of Fantasy 2.0, but it's not as good as World of Fantasy. I don't know. It has nice piano chords and all that, and yes, it sounds like a typical Capsule track, but I think it's not a song I want to listen to over and over again. It's just an okay track to me, so I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. Track number 2, Give Me a Ride. Give Me a Ride is the first synthwave track of the album, and it's a top-notch production. The guitar sounds he's using is really well mixed with the synths and the bass line. I kind of like the chorus, but the more I listen to it, the less interesting it gets. It's not like I'm discovering something new about it. It's a pretty straightforward track, but I'll still give it a 4 out of 5 stars for the quality of production alone. It's very well done track. The third track, Future Wave. I would say this is one of my least favorite songs of the album. I find it kind of generic sounding. Yes, it's super well produced like everything else. It has nice arrangement and choices of sound. But it's kind of boring to me, even though the album mix version of this track is better than the original. Yes, it's in that typical Capsule style, but I think it's one of the weakest tracks of the album. Some people might disagree with me on that, but I still like it a bit more than Hikari No Disco, so I'll give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. Track number 4, Start. This is where the album starts getting good to me, when Start starts. This song sounds a lot like a 1990s Chisato Moritaka J-pop track. It's very reminiscent of that style, and I enjoy it a lot, especially the groove, those claps, the super catchy Toshiko vocals in the verse, and that pre-chorus section that sounds pretty trippy with those bell sounds mixed with the pads. He also chose the same synth sound that he used on Perfume's Butterfly, and it's almost the same arpeggio, but it's perfectly fitting for this track. I like this track a lot. I don't get really tired of it, and so I'm going to give it a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Track number 5, Virtual Freedom. This one's pretty good. It's a modern synthwave track, and the sounds he's using on this one are just fabulous. I like how he sidechained his sawtooth bass in the chorus section. I also like the key change in the later part of the track, which makes it more interesting than the single version of this song. It's probably the most futuristic sounding track of the album. I like this track, but it doesn't have a ton of replay value in my opinion. It's a very well produced song, and it's just pleasing to the ear, so I'll give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Track number 6, Wonderland. This track is probably one of my favorites of the album. It's a city pop track, and the sample he's using there, the digital saxophone, it sounds absolutely gorgeous. I never heard such a good digital saxophone like that ever. It's pretty impressive. The solo he's playing is so good, it would be like what a professional saxophone player would play. I mean, that's how good it sounds. I like it a lot because it captures this feeling. It captures that city pop feeling from the 80s while still sounding modern, which is great. But I really like the atmosphere of this song, and Toshiko's vocals are just breathtaking. They're beautiful. Definitely one of my favorite vocals of this album. I just love this track. It's just fabulous. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars. Track number 7, Seaside Dreams. Another great city pop synthwave track. This one I enjoy quite a bit. It's also one of my favorites of the album. What can I say? Very catchy Toshiko vocals, very catchy synth sounds. And I really like the bridge section at the 52-second mark that just creates tension out of nowhere. It took me by surprise the first time I heard it. I just love it when I can't predict what's going to happen. That's the thing I love about Nakata's music. It's very unpredictable. For instance, his chord progression, he always tends to use some sort of augmented or diminished jazz chord you didn't expect. Japanese music producers tend to use these chords, but I think Nakata does it better than no one else in the context of pop music. He's just a master of his craft, and anyway, the bass lines going on this track just gets better and better and more interesting as the song progresses. And it's a shame this song didn't last longer, but it's still great, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Track number 8, Starry Night. This is a very old Capsule song from 1997 that has been remixed and remastered. He made quite some drastic changes to the track, but it still kind of sounds the same, and yet it's a brand new track. This is a really good one, especially the instrumentation and the way he detuned the sounds. It kind of makes my mind melt, and I just love it when music does that to me. The way he blends that saxophone with the synthesizer is just so cool, and it sounds amazing. I find the vocals a little bit annoying at certain points, but it's just a minor gripe. This is a terrific, fantastic track, so I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Track number 9, Escape from Reality. This one is also one of my favorites. It's just amazing, this song. The soundscape of this track, the vocals, beautiful. Again, Toshiko's vocals are just wonderful in this one. He's using this really lush pads in the pre-chorus that just sounds so retro and is perfectly fitting for this song. This track captures some sort of emotion. There's some sort of longing feeling going through this track, and I can feel it. I really love this track. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 stars. And lastly, track number 10, To My World. Once again, one of my favorites of the album. I know most of these tracks are my favorites because the album is so damn good. But To My World, again, is some sort of 1990s J-pop track and also synthwave as well. It's a mix of both, I would say. It's got some very nice sample in it, especially that 1990s phone beep sound that is blended perfectly into the track. Awesome groove going through this track, a very catchy guitar riff and bass line. It's just so good. It's just so fantastic, and I'm gonna give it a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Also, it's great track. So in conclusion, I would give this album an 8.5 out of 10 stars. It's losing 1.5 stars because of Hikari No Disco, Give Me a Ride, and Future Wave that I don't care so much for. But the rest of the album, they're all great songs. They're all excellent. And I'm so glad that Nakata decided to put out a retrowave album. I've been waiting for that, for years. And because he always had this influence throughout his music, whether if it was for Chiari, Perfume, Meg, Cult of Monica, etc. He always had that influence, and I was always thinking to myself if he would put out a retrowave album, that it would be some of the greatest I've ever heard, and it kind of is, it's kind of some of the greatest I've ever heard, and I'm really happy with it, and it shows just how he's like one of the greatest producers on earth. I mean, nobody can touch this guy. No one can touch him. Whatever style he puts his mind to, he's gonna nail it. And it's been proven again and again. This album is definitely one of the best Capsule releases to date, and I can say that with confidence. This is a really good one. Anyway, thanks a lot for checking out my review, and I hope you will enjoy the album as much as I did. So, take it easy. Peace out.